Welcome to Being You, an SPH Productions presentation. My name is Shane Hodges, author of It's Time to Be You, How to Become Your Most Authentic Self. My guest today is Jacqueline B. Arnold.
Hello.
Thank you so much for doing this with
Hello,
me.
fam.
Let's just get a little info here.
Okay.
Jacqueline is a Broadway actress currently playing the role of Anita in Smash, which we just saw. Phenomenal show. Fantastic. The music's great. I watched the show on television, so I had a little more going into it than my husband.
Okay.
But thank you again for being here. I like to start off with a 60-second round of rapid-fire questions.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's go.
To see what we get to know about you. All right. First role you ever played?
First role I ever played was, an ensemble member in the production of Oklahoma in Lancaster, California at my junior college.
Okay. Favorite pastime?
Drinking wine.
What kind?
Wine tasting, period. My most favorite, we went to Bordeaux, France a few years ago, and pretty much anything there will do.
Love it. Street you grew up on?
LaSalle Avenue.
Best friend in high school?
Her name was Angie Resendez. She's since passed.
Your favorite Broadway theater?
Well, the Palace now, which was my first Broadway theater, but the Palace is redone and it's beautiful.
Oh, all right. Do you believe in ghosts?
Absolutely. I see them all the time.
Okay. Hardest role you've ever played?
Hardest, this one.
East Coast or West Coast?
That's really hard. I'm originally from the West Coast, but I've lived here for 26 years. Oh!
I understand. A co-star you laugh with?
Brooks Ashmanskas.
Worst subject in school?
Ooh, math.
Karaoke or Dance Dance Revolution?
Karaoke.
How long does it take to do your makeup?
15 minutes.
Celebrity crush?
I don't know. Oh, God. Oh, it used to be. Oh, no, that's terrible. I can't do it. Kate Blanchett.
Oh, I love her.
There.
Good call. Good call.
That made me sweat.
Well, we got through 13. That's a good number.
How many do you have?
I usually come in with 15 to 18, up to 20, but I think that's the most I've ever gotten.
God, really?
Congrats. Yes.
I want to do it again.
We'll come up with some more. All right. Our first segment is called You Do You. And this is where we get to know a little bit about what it is you do.
Okay.
As we mentioned, you are a longtime Broadway star. How did you first get into theater?
Funnily enough, I didn't get into theater until I was 23 years old. So that's really late for most people. And it was in Lancaster, California, where I went to a junior college. That's the first time I ever saw a Broadway show, even.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't see a tour. I saw the tour of Ragtime when I was 23, and we can do that math if you really want to.
No need.
For the year. I have no qualms about my age, but, and it was the first time I went, oh my God, I can do all this stuff and make money at it? And have it be heartwarming, right? Oh. And I remember seeing it at the Amundsen Theater and just standing there, I felt like I was a 6-year-old. It was crazy.
So what was your first Broadway show?
That I did?
No, that you saw?
Oh, that I saw. Ragtime.
Okay.
Was the first thing I ever saw.
And your first role then?
My first role on Broadway was Diva 1 in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. But I had done a few tours before that. My very first professional tour, I played Joanne Jefferson in Rent.
Oh, wow. Oh, love that show. Love both of those shows. Well, singer, actress, dancer, which do you enjoy the most now?
Okay, listen. Let's be real.
Yes,
here you go, people. I used to be a dancer, right?
Okay.
I transitioned into singer who moves well. Singing always came naturally to me. I think I was like 8 years old when I realized I could sing. I was in the backseat of my mother's Camaro. And what made me think I could sing was the fact that I could sing both the male and female part of Peaches and Herbs Reunited. And then I decided I could sing, right?
Love it.
And the first time I went on stage was with my chorus class. They did a production of The Wiz at school in 3rd grade. But they didn't give me any roles. I just came out and sang all the songs at the podium. I didn't play anyone. I just was in a pretty blue gown and I stood at the principal's podium and sang things. So singing will always be my first love. I love how dance makes me feel, and all of those require acting as far as I'm concerned. So I think I'm a good 33 1/3 of all of them.
Love that. What is the biggest challenge or challenges you do or have faced as a Broadway actress?
One, I am a 5'10" black woman who is approximately a size 14.
Mm-hmm.
What the stereotypical Broadway body looks like is not that.
Yeah.
Like in Hairspray, I have really short partners, and it was a comedic sort of thing, right? So even though in this show that you just saw, most of the men are quite tall, there's this bizarre standard or idea that we still have to have even a height differentiation in a heteronormative sort of way. So that's been an issue. And then body type. One of the reasons I was at Moulin Rouge for so long and I loved it there was because I was a plus size Lady M, and I owned it. I was out there with no pants on every day, as y'all just saw yesterday, you know? So it was a statement for so many other people, even though for me I was, just existing.
And I read somewhere, it was an article in, I think, The Root. You mentioned, or they made a comment, I guess, about being a black, queer, plus-sized individual. Tonight's performance, you had a monologue about Chloe's role as an individual who didn't fit the mold. How does that feel to have that moment and to present that moment on stage?
It actually feels like an honor and a little bit of vindication. It does feel like I'm teaching a lot of people when I say this speech, but it also feels like I'm giving a lot of people in the audience something to relate to. Because what it really is about is individuality. It's about accepting everyone for where they're at the moment. And you know, I joke and I call it the global majority speech because that's really what it is. And when I say that, I don't just mean that racially, I mean that on a whole, because what we're talking about is body positivity, or in the case of that, in that particular moment, body shaming. And I firmly believe that another individual doesn't get to tell me whether or not my body can move a particular way. You've got to let me try first.
Yeah.
So it feels really fucking awesome. I don't know if I can cuss on here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Again, authenticity.
Okay, great, because I was like, I got a potty mouth.
We're going to get along fine. Well, actors learn to play a role and take on the persona of that character. How do you keep from acting or being inauthentic when you're not on stage?
I'm not a method actor, right? So I don't take it personally. I don't take it home with me. You can eventually pan and see all of the faux Chanel and the Birkin and all that.
Yep.
That is actually not who I am. I'm literally sitting here in a thrift store dress and some, you know, what are these called? Loafers, you know. And I believe that you can make yourself look good in any, whatever you feel good in, right?
Absolutely.
What was hardest for me with this is saying someone else's words. And I think when I got into the show, it was written as a particular way. And once the writers got to know me, they very kindly and smartly decided to start rewrites for me. While it's Sable and fuck you has always been a line in the show, the delivery might have been a little bit different. As you can see again with the wardrobe, she's very Upper East Side. And even with the swooped up hair and stuff, and Lord knows I'm not trying to wear that hair all the time, right? And I don't have a problem with coming in and out of character. What was hard was saying these words because it's comedy as well. And comedy is a different ball game that I am still very much so learning how to do, because things are said a particular way so that you know the timing to laugh.
Yes.
And I did not even know that, because we're fools and we go for it in the audience.
Yes.
We're like, sure, feed me, tell me when to laugh, I'll go for it. I didn't know that was literally part of the makeup of it.
Okay, I get that.
You should also know I'm afraid of going to stand-up comedy because of that reason.
Oh.
I don't go. I'm so paranoid and scared for them. I don't want them to bomb. I think I've been to 2 in my life.
No. Yeah.
And my wife keeps going, come on, let's go. Mom, you can go with your friends. I don't really want to do it.
As my husband says, you can use this line. It'll be more fun without me.
Most certainly. Thank you.
You'll have more fun without me. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I have had a lifelong love of theater, and I love all the different types of shows. So
Okay.
it's great to see you up there. That being said, let's get a little more personal
Sure.
in our segment called Who Are You?
Mhm.
If I'm correct, you have family in New Orleans, spent your childhood or grew up in LA.
Mhm.
What was that like?
My family is from New Orleans, so my mom, my grandmother, all of them were. I'm also very multiracial. My father is Korean and black, and I didn't grow up with him, but now we have a relationship. So growing up in LA was crazy, because when I look back on it, as well-read and two-time debutante as I might be, yes, I had two. I had a junior and a senior, and that was due to my father's mother, because he was adopted. And he was adopted by a West Indian woman and a Cherokee Indian and black man. I told you it was a lot going on up in here. I still grew up in the hood. I grew up in South Central LA. On, like, my cross streets were King and Western. I know what it's like to be in a drive-by situation. I know what it's like to be at a party and have it shot up and you run for your life. It's funny because when you live in a place like New York where it's so many people on a very small area, sometimes I have a little PTSD because it feels like I'm at a concert or something where everyone's moving and you're gonna get like Mufasa or something. And so on off days I make it my business not to come downtown too often because you need a little bit of a reprieve. I live up in Harlem, so it's not as crazy. But I don't go to a lot of huge festivals, so sometimes I realize that that kind of stuff still comes up. And as one of my best friend says, what you never want to do is make Jackie mad because South Central shows up in the worst sort of way. And I think it's funny because I get very quiet but very poignant, and I don't have a whole lot more to say. But you know, I mean, I'm a LA girl through and through, like to the heart. People don't know, they don't want to see it.
So how did you end up in New York?
I ended up in New York because through a job. Actually, I had auditioned to go to UCLA for theater. They accepted me, and my friend's mom called one night. She said she had read in the LA Times that Rent was auditioning, and they were having open calls, and it was going to be in Century City at this nightclub. So we took a terrible headshot. Like, when I say terrible, I had on like a leopard print jacket. My hair was bleached blonde in a bob, but I had
Like
this much root, babe, okay? And I hurried up and blow dried my hair real quick. So roots, blonde, and then blonde and black hair. It wasn't cute. But I went and I got in line at 8:01, and at 8:01 I was number 1501. And they went through and typed us all out. And I sang 7 words to the song Get Here in a bathroom stall of a nightclub in Century City. And then 5 callbacks later, I didn't get Rent. I actually got a different show that brought me here to New York, which was done at New York Theater Workshop, called Bright Lights, Big City, which was based on the 1984 television or movie with Michael J. Fox.
Yep. Wow. It's so funny how often you have this idea in mind and then it goes a completely different direction, but it works out.
Thoroughly upside down world.
You mentioned a moment ago you're not shy about your age.
No.
How old are we?
51.
And love that. What's next for you? What do you want that is still on your bucket list, so to speak?
Well, Smash is my first principal role on Broadway. I've played principals on tours and in regional productions. So obviously more principal work, because this is great. I don't have to break my body and dance, and I don't have to live from my voice of singing every day either. So more of the same. Often people want to know, well, what dream role do you want? Honestly, I don't think the show's written yet.
Oh, I love that.
I have done a production about Phyllis Hyman. That would be a brilliant musical, and that was really wonderful to do. I also have high hopes in, since we're on the trend of turning movies into musicals, Eve's Bayou would make a beautiful musical, and I would love to be in that, or produce it, or even direct it. Directing is something that I'm very interested in doing.
Okay.
Producing is weird, but directing is cool. And it's difficult as a performer to justify producing. Because inevitably you're the bad guy.
Okay.
Right? My wife and I own 3 businesses. inevitably we're the bad guy at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that part.
Would you like to share, because I did read that, what are your 3 businesses?
One is, well, first of all, she's also my agent. She owns MMV Talent with her best friend, who was an agent for 16 years, and they decided to open one here. And she felt that I was being underrepresented and wanted to take care of myself and many other people of the global majority status, of the LGBTQ community. She just wanted to make sure underserved was being taken care of. So that's what MMV Talent actually is about. Then she has had for 15 years O to Be a Dog, which is a dog walking company that she started in Los Angeles, which then she brought here. And then we own the Kitchen Chemists, which is a topicals, THC, muscle rub, and other body products.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is it like working with your partner?
In which one?
Expand.
Okay, I don't do much on O to Be a Dog. What's fun about O to Be a Dog is I get to sometimes, if she needs help, I'll go walk some dogs. And who don't want to be out in the park walking some dogs or whatever, right? So that's totally fun. MMV, what I have to say is, what I know is I'm not worried. She has always got my best interest at heart. She will always take care of me. And then the Kitchen Chemists. Kitchen Chemists is kind of crazy because we definitely have different things we do there. I make a good amount of things, and then she makes bath bombs, but she's shipping and handling, and so it is, her brain functions so much better in that regard. I don't do that. You would order something.
It's the yin and yang of it all.
It is. So we do all right, but she, like, in the morning will be like, you got to go to the factory today, which is my kitchen. And it's a whole list with a white board that I can write out and check off what I need to. So I stay in there for 4 hours making stuff.
You know, it's all good. Sometimes we need the guide.
Oh, yeah.
Just say, here's your list. Yeah. Go. Well, if you could go back and do something differently, would you? And why or why not?
Anything?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? In my personal life, I think I'm good. If I could go back and turn the world and modern medicine into something to have helped my mother, I would have spent every penny I had to do that. She had a lot of different illnesses, and now, 10 years later after her passing, there's all these things that literally could have helped her. And I wish that we talked more about mental illness and mental health back then. And I think that could have helped her a lot. For myself, I mean, no bullshit. I think I make the choices I want to make, and I deal with whatever those consequences are. And I don't really fret about it too much. And I got lucky, y'all. I met Shan when I was 40, and it was almost instantaneous. We had just started dating, but it was over Christmas. And you want to talk about being authentic, here you go. I come home and I've got this gold watch on. And my mom was in a wheelchair and she wore oxygen. And she had this big 2-bedroom apartment in Lancaster. And she rolled by me and she went, well, I guess you put out. And she walked, moved on. And I was like, I froze. And I was like, Mom! And then a couple hours later, I'm like FaceTiming with Shannon. She rolled by. Hi, Shannon. And that's the only time they ever met. She passed right after that. And I got lucky. When it's right, and it shouldn't be difficult. And it's gonna be fine.
Absolutely agree. Love to hear that. This may play into that a little bit.
Okay.
What is something you absolutely love about this current version of yourself?
51 is cute because she don't give a damn. She's still cordial. She did win Miss Congeniality in those debutante balls, but
that's funny.
She is cordial, but she has zero time to care what everybody else's opinions are.
when did that start to come about?
Why? Because you think I've been like that forever, don't you?
No, not at all. Not even remotely, girl. No, not even.
I think that really started to creep. I mean, there's always been an air of that on me. Because again, with my own self-awareness, my size and stature, there's a certain amount of you that just has to stop caring what everyone thinks. You know, you're not walking around in the average. And quite frankly, it's above average. But the world doesn't make you think that when you are plus size 5'10". They don't make you think that. And the reality is you are. And if you start to think of it that way, you might be better off, right? So I think in the 43-ish range, started being like, I mean, okay. But it was a daily conversation, and now it's habit, and I just don't care.
I love that. Well, that actually brings us to the wow segment of my program, the words of wisdom. Okay. So when it comes to authenticity, what would you share with others about either your own journey with such or theirs?
I would share what my mother shared with me always. 2 things. Since I was 4 years old. Jackie, when you're 4, be 4. When you're 10, be 10. When you're 30, be 30. Stop trying to be something you're not. And you having a good day, if you can stand in the mirror and look at yourself, I could cry, naked and still like you. Not just the physical. But if you can just stand in the mirror and be okay with that reflection, you get the privilege of going out that day.
Mama sounds like a pretty smart lady.
She was cool.
What was Mama's name?
Linda. But I called her Lola.
Okay.
She was pretty cool.
Well, Miss Lola sounds very, very smart.
Thank you.
So, well, again, thank you so much for being here. What would you like to share in terms of information, socials, how to find you, what's going on with you right now?
I'm so bad at this part. This is when Shannon should be here. The socials, what am I? I don't know what it is. Jacqueline B. Arnold, I think, on Instagram. And then I think we have a TikTok called The Arnolds that right now my best friend and I are trying out. My best friend and I we call each other Stack and Jack. So it's a thing, right? So we're trying to start that up. And I don't know, go buy your muscles hair, go buy something at Kitchen Chemists. How about that?
Actually, I do have a question about that.
Okay.
What led you to get into that business and create that line of products?
So I've always been interested in homeopathy. Well, so I thought it was homeopathy. Then I realized, what I'm really interested in is herbalism. And I was always aware of what remedies my grandmother would give me. And some of them weren't great. You know, you get a toothache and then she's like, here's some Hennessy. You know, that's not great. That just puts you to sleep. But bite down on an aspirin and have a shot. You're okay, I feel great. But I then got into Moulin Rouge, and I'm pretty sure I was the oldest female in that company. And my knees felt terrible. And so I started hurting, but I also was vain enough to know that I did not want to smell like my age, meaning Bengay or any of those menthol camphor smelling things. So Shannon has always been an advocate for the cannabis. I just, in the last 10 years, have gotten really into it. So we did a whole lot of research and figured it all out. It was strictly out of my own vanity of not wanting to smell like a pharmacy. So we make, I actually have some. Oh, this poor jar has gone through it. So it looks like
cute.
that. I don't know. You can see it. Whatever.
I was gonna say, let's see. We'll show it.
It's so sad. That can is sad.
That's
That's how you know I
cute,
reuse
though.
it. We make it in regular, extra strength, and supreme. And what that means is regular is about 150 milligrams of THC. Extra strength is 300, and supreme is 600.
Okay.
And basically it relaxes all the fascia and stuff, so then your body can move a little bit easier.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for being here. Again, my name is Shane Hodges. This has been Being You, an SPH Productions. Get my book, It's Time to Be You, How to Become Your Most Authentic Self. And please join us again. Be yourselves. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, Jackie.
Thank you so much.
So good to meet you.
I appreciate it.